Good day, everybody. Once again, it is me, the J to the E to the double F free. This is Jeffrey Harris, and welcome back to the 411 Wrestling Interviews podcast. For today's interview, we have an exclusive chat with the one and only, the essential character, the man who controls his narrative, EC3. He just launched his Free the Narrative event, which is available now on Fight TV, and he is taking part in this weekend's Ring of Honor Best in the World pay-per-view event, where he is set to face Flip Gordon in a one-on-one match. This is Ring of Honor's first event in front of live fans since the pandemic shutdown. So this is huge. It's being held in Baltimore, Maryland. And EC3 joined us for a very special exclusive interview. So stay tuned for a few seconds. We have an exclusive interview with EC3 coming up right now on the 411 Wrestling Interviews podcast. Stay tuned. Jeffrey Harris reporting for 411 Mania, and this is the 411 Wrestling Interviews podcast.
Oh.
Today, we are talking to someone who is most definitely essential. He is EC3, and on July 11th, at the Chesapeake Employers Insurance Arena on pay-per-view, you are going to be wrestling Flip Gordon at ROH Best in the World, and you are going to usher in fans back to Ring of Honor, back to ROH for the first time in almost a year and a half. How does that feel, EC3?
It feels fantastic. It feels fantastic to be able to perform, to execute, to fight, to feel the adrenaline, to feel the rush, to feel the energy of a live audience. I've been waiting for July 11th. Ring of Honor has been putting out such a consistently good product that the only thing was missing was fan reaction, feeling it, knowing it, deriving from it. So it's very exciting. July 11th that we're back in front of fans. It feels good. I don't know if I'll personally be ushering them in. I'll be busy, but they will be ushered in, and they will be paying to see me, of course, too. So that's a good thing.
After signing your Ring of Honor contract a few months ago, does this feel like, the light is at the end of the tunnel, that sort of not long after signing that contract, here you are, fans are coming back, and you'll get to sort of have that experience again, because for a long time for wrestling, it's sort of been limited capacities, or you haven't been able to have that fan kind of connection at events?
Yeah, I mean, there was good and bads that came out of how to create and perform professional wrestling out of this. You mentioned like limited capacity and things of that nature. That's what inspired creating my own narrative and experimenting with that. But as far as the light at the end of the tunnel with Ring of Honor, signing with them was a very much a long-term decision, because I knew at the time we were in what we were in. And it's tough not knowing the landscape, because the landscape of the world constantly changed. So to make a commitment, it's speculative. But I knew I had faith that this day would come. I'm very happy it has. I'm very happy they have opened the doors. Personally, I would have opened them 6 months ago, but that's just me, and I'm a conspiracy theorist, so we're good.
What do you think of this matchup with Flip Gordon?
Flip Gordon has undergone an evolution to himself, and I use him for nefarious means in my build-up to my match, my excellent match at Ring of Honor 19th anniversary with Jay Briscoe, where I did find out honor was real. He was mean to an end. I didn't really know him nor care for him. I have followed his career. He's controlling his narrative in a sense. I respect the fact he's disregarding the flash, and he's doing things for himself. Cheating to win is one thing, and then in Ring of Honor, honor is real, and it's not necessarily the way to do things. So I'm very curious about this match. I'm very curious what would have built up to this match if I wasn't stricken with a nearly deadly infection in the build-up to this match. But There is no hatred, there is no animosity with Flip Gordon, nor is there any like or is there any love. Flip Gordon, a man coming into his own, will be there someday, but it will not be at the expense of myself. I feel with Flip Gordon, he has a lot to learn, and being involved with me, he's going to learn it all.
I think the wrestling business is a business that thrives on reinvention and rebirth. And EC3, I do not think you are a person that rests on their laurels. And in 2020, I feel like you took the reins of your career. You took control back to, I guess, essentially control your narrative and take the reins of your own story. But what do you think about that and the business thriving on reinvention and rebirth?
Reinvention is utterly one of the most important things somebody can do, and a testament to that would just be the Undertaker for one. Not to compare myself and him at all, but I appreciate that because I definitely took it upon myself to control my narrative. Control your narrative is to tell your story. And all throughout wrestling, I see these individuals who I know their true story, but what's portrayed on television via booking committees and creative teams and one man's opinion, I never get to see their true selves and their true stories told. So Control Your Narrative was sort of a self-created experiment on myself to derive from my reality, my purpose, to take back control, to have the freedom to be myself and run with it. It's interesting. It's artistically very satisfying as far as reaching a broad audience. When it's not under a 3-letter corporate brand, it's hard to reach the vast wrestling audience because it's only on your socials. So fortunately, Ring of Honor has allowed me to control my narrative. My brief run at Impact, I was controlling most of my narrative, and I was able to kind of establish this character. But at the same time, people who are tied to the past, hearken to the past, still don't know what I'm doing and what I'm fighting for. And that's a big thing with Free the Narrative. Control Your Narrative is not only to tell my story, but I want to tell the stories of so many other people I've met who deserve that opportunity. And hopefully through this grassroots campaign and this completely independent production and style, we could tell stories to wrestling fans about wrestlers they deserve to know.
When we saw the emergence of this movement, EC3, it was coming at a very bizarre time in the world, an unprecedented time where, things were uncertain and the pandemic was setting in. And then I think it was a stroke of brilliance that you started mixing in words like essential, because essential was sort of becoming a very relevant word at that point. I guess where was the inspiration or stroke of brilliance to use that word essential as part of this movement?
Yeah, I think as you evolve, you have to evolve your handle and your name. And Ethan Carter III from TNA to the top 1% EC3 in WWE, whatever that was, to the essential character. It's just seeing what's relevant, what's taking place in the world, and applying it. So the word narrative has been repeated by both sides of the corporate media structure that lie to us every day. Narrative, narrative, narrative. It kept pounding, but narrative is a story. They're telling us a story. I want to tell you my story. Essential. I think essential came based on the fact Florida opened professional wrestling as an essential business. Also in the fact so many people in the world were losing their jobs because of the economy, because of this pandemic, and some were deemed not essential, which you deem a human being not essential, you're taking away their identity. I was deemed not essential by my corporate employer, but I believe I am essential. If I don't believe I'm essential, then nobody's going to believe I'm essential. So it's just using what's relevant, putting my spin on it, being creative, and it sells t-shirts. It's cool.
Now, speaking of April 15th and people being told they're non-essential, people and businesses claiming they are essential, on April 15th, after you were released from WWE, due to what was called pandemic related budget cuts. 1 year later, to the day, that same day, WWE started, I guess, doing this again. Some people called it tone deaf, but do you consider it ironic on any level that 1 year later it was kind of happening again on the same day? And do you find that strange or ironic at all?
Strange and ironic because one thing happenstance and serendipity are another thing, and there is a saying that everything happens for a reason, or that everything's connected, or any other crazy bullshit quotes you can see on Instagram. The timing was very interesting. The timing was very interesting for the Free the Narrative project, especially because I met with Matthew Cardona on April 15th, 2021, to have a sit down and discuss our long-standing blood feud that would be settled in Free the Narrative. But on that same day, the releases came out after we had our discussion, after our discussion was released to the world. It ties together, and that group of people, a lot of people, have been coming knocking on my door seeking to control their narrative. And I guess if I was a martyr or a leader, or at least formulated an idea, that idea is beyond me as a person now, and that idea has grown, that so many more talents know their worth, know their ability to tell their story, know their talent, and know their value. So it happened for a reason. I don't know what that reason is, but I'm not one to say how anyone should do their business. So, so be it. So be it. World Wrestling Entertainment. But a lot of good people can truly find themselves outside that umbrella.
And speaking of the growth of the Free the Narrative brand, in May, you had the Free the Narrative event, and you're also working on the movie project. So tell me about the expansion of the Free the Narrative movement and brand, so to speak, and would you like to do more events? And I'm also curious about the movie project.
I wouldn't call it a movie per se, because there was a wise, sometimes crazy old man who once said, "We're making movies, pal, but are we truly making movies?" I don't know that. I would consider it a feature. The Free the Narrative feature was something that I wanted to try. I wanted to attempt to do something different, creative, somewhat artistic, but kind of push forward what I could see coming out of wrestling. Wrestling at its core is storytelling, and I really wanted to focus on stories. It's not just mine, it's not just Matt Cardona's, it's everybody that was involved in it, wanting to give them a platform to tell their story. And we had a soft release on Vimeo. Like, it was a close to the heart edited project for myself, my partner JC, who also subs as a narrator, put countless hours into creating something different, shooting wrestling in a different way. And through the pandemic, wrestling found itself doing cinematic matches per se. And I believe those totally jumped the shark as far as, the goofy shit, the breaking of reality. Like, cinematic matches I don't think have a ton of appeal, but real professional wrestling shot cinematically, I think, has a ton of appeal. Real stories told cinematically has a lot of appeal. So that's the Free the Narrative project. I'm very happy to to partner with Fight TV to bring this to a bigger platform, because like I said, creating your own thing, you're limited to your social media, and that's a very small bubble. But with Fight's platform behind it, their interest in the project, we can definitely continue to grow, bring this to more people, get feedback, constructive criticism, good feedback, bad feedback, indifferent feedback. I want it all. I wanted to see what the wrestling world thinks of something different. They beg online every time I look for something different and unique. So hopefully this fills that void. And as far as another project, launching this on Fight TV, you will see a brand new ending that is leading to what is coming next. And I assure you, it's huge.
I think some people have a very rigid view about professional wrestling, and you talk about fans begging for something different or unique, and I feel like I just respect the fact that you're trying to push the limits and the boundaries in trying new things, because I think much like this sport thrives on reinvention and rebirth, I think innovation is something we should be experimenting on in this business and trying new things. But what do you think
Yeah,
about that in exploring experimentation or just trying something different?
I think if you do the same thing, you always get what you always have.
Right.
And I can rest on my laurels. I've been very successful. I have a great position with Ring of Honor. I'm very happy there. Or I can take my extra time involved in what I'm most passionate about: professional wrestling, storytelling, athleticism, fitness, these things, and build upon them and hopefully do something different and unique. What's interesting about the Free the Narrative project is wrestling fans that have seen it and came back at it seem to have definitely enjoyed it, but it definitely played to people that are not necessarily wrestling fans on a different level, which I found very unique. And I think wrestling is for everybody, but wrestling has lost focus on appealing to the masses because vocally the wrestling fans are controlling the narrative, so to speak. So away goes some of the things that might draw mainstream appeal as far as storytelling and things of that nature. So trying to push that forward, it's a risk. If it fails, I failed daring greatly. If it succeeds, we change the game. Either way, you win. Either way, you learn. And either way, you are controlling your narrative.
So a week from Sunday rather, you're facing Flip Gordon. You're going to beat Flip Gordon. After that, is it time to start pursuing the ROH World Title, the Pure Title, maybe, or is it not really about titles right now? And is it about controlling the narrative and your story?
It's a two-pronged attack. Obviously, working towards something, working for a company, you want to prove you're the best at best in the world. That's a great forum for it. To be the best, you should be the champion, or you should always be fighting to become the champion. Because if you're not, what the hell are you there for? So the Ring of Honor World Titles, especially, it's in my purview. It is in my sights, and it wasn't something I was so concentrated on initially arriving into Ring of Honor. Because when I arrived in Ring of Honor, my purpose was to see if honor is even real in professional wrestling anymore. My match with Jay Briscoe, he proved to me that honor is real. Knowing that honor is real, honor is worth fighting for, and honor is in the World Heavyweight title. So that is definitely something I would look forward to. In hindsight, though, with what I've created of myself, wins, losses, sometimes you have to sacrifice yourself to tell the better story. Perhaps like I did with Moose at Bound for Glory last year. To create the man I see him becoming, I had to sacrifice my legacy in Impact to him so he could take that next step. Whether he did or not, I don't know. We revisit that subject in Free the Narrative, also on Fight TV. So, yeah, I'm fucking crazy, man. I got all sorts of shit going on.
Okay. Now, one thing we've seen during this pandemic is we've seen companies being more willing to work with each other and also share talent and sort of have these kind of like comic book crossovers. Some people have called it crossing over the forbidden door. What do you think about possibly crossing over the threshold of forbidden doors? Does that excite you at all? And do you have any sort of attitude about stepping over these forbidden door thresholds?
In Free the Narrative, there is no forbidden door. There's a forbidden garage door that is busted open, as Free the Narrative contains people from all different brands,
Right.
from an MLW to an AEW to Impact to Independence. So we do not foresee the forbidden door being an issue in Free the Narrative, because it's not about your wins or losses in the narrative. It's about creating and finding yourself. As far as with Ring of Honor and what's taking place with like an Impact and an AEW, when you mention crossovers, you have to totally look at what is the most successful film franchise of all time, That's the Marvel series, and the amount of crossovers and Avengers and Infinity War and Endgame, how everything crossed over. That's great fan service, and fans want fan service. Wrestling fans know other companies exist. Wrestling fans know that this person works here and this person works here. We may never see it. But to build something, to anticipate something that you may only see once, I think is a great opportunity for every wrestling company to take. So the door should no longer be forbidden. The door should be busted wide open. And I think it has been.
Okay, thoughts on Drake Maverick and when you got to interact and have a storyline with Drake Maverick? Because I did enjoy that at the time.
I don't think it's any secret in reality that Drake, aka Spud, is one of my best friends in the entire world. I think that's public knowledge, and if it's not, that's an open admission. He's a man. He's one of the most talented and smart to this industry people I've ever worked with. And when his career is over, if he's not in a position where he's controlling narratives of creative and things of that nature, bringing people along, teaching them how to do this the right way, that would be a huge disappointment to me, because that man knows so much, lives, breathes this, and he does it the right way. So unfortunately, his partner was released, and he's kind of in a lost space, but no matter what happens, he has my faith, he has my support, he has my friendship, and he knows my door is always open.
Will you be part of the Glory by Honor tour in August in Philadelphia?
Yes, I will be storming into the the former ECW arena, guns blazing, jacked, tan, clean head, ready to continue the legacy that building has built. Like, I've been there once. I got 619 by Rey Mysterio. That building is electric. That building is magnetic. I'm very much looking forward to that. I'm very much looking forward to what we can do in that in front of those fans.
I'm also very happy to be talking to you. Because a few months ago I saw you were hospitalized due to that infection. How was that period for you? How are you feeling right now? How was the recovery process, and was that a scary time for you at all?
It was scary in the sense that I've been going so hard and working so hard on so many different things, whether it's my professional wrestling employment, whether it's my outside projects with the narrative, whether it's fitness and like creating a fitness and nutrition app, running a print shop in Orlando. Hey, if you ever need t-shirts, www.justifiedprints.com. I even print my own merch. You can get it free, EC3.com. But was it scary? I almost put myself in that position by overexhaustion and overwork. I suffered a pretty bad infection. I let it kind of linger. I didn't really know what was happening. It took a while to figure out. I lost some momentum and some mojo, but with difficulties and setbacks like that, you only improve yourself and find yourself moving forward. So at this point, at this juncture, walking in the best in the world, I've been training my ass off to become something relentless, something destructive, something more powerful than I ever have been. So scary. I kind of needed a break, and it was nice to be away from people, but at the same time, absolutely not what I wanted to happen, but it did happen. I dealt with it, and as I would say, that which does not kill you makes you stronger. That which should kill you makes you impossible to beat.
In these years, being
I just thought of that quote, man. That was pretty good. Huh?
I think that was poetic. Being a veteran, former world champion, an industry mainstay. I mean, do you learn more about, I guess, recovery time, giving your body time to heal, and have you learned more about yourself in that manner over these years?
I definitely have learned its importance, and I definitely have neglected it, and that's a flaw of myself because I'm always pushing and I'm always going harder. And recovery is very important. I think too, based on the fact our schedules limited themselves due to pandemic without live shows with Ring of Honor or independent days or things of that nature, you are home more. And I'm not someone to rest and sit on the couch and binge watch a Netflix series. I have to be going. And if I'm not working hard at creating, I have to recreate myself. So I could recover better. I know that. I have learned that. Have I applied it? I'll rest when I'm dead.
Very, very interesting. Have you been into any more targets and found any more figurines that have been tossed in the trash?
I happen to go to a Target once a week. Target, believe it or not, due to pandemic, my usual haunts for picking up possible suitors. The female persuasion, I've lost my creeping in yoga classes and my, people staying away from public places, and I don't party anymore, so the barmaids are out. But Target, pretty decent. You can get a good look at someone's eyes if they're still wearing a face mask and know if they're cute or not. But I haven't seen any of my action figures that deserve immediate destruction of the past. But I do see a lot of action figures for people who I think should control their narrative. The other day I saw a Buddy Murphy action figure. Every time I walk in there, I see Braun Strowman's face all over the packaging. There's a lot of narratives that could be controlled. There's a lot of past that could be destroyed.
Now, when fans are going to be going in Baltimore, Maryland, and they're going to get a look at you, and you're going to reveal to them the truth about the narrative and taking control of their narrative, some people might, that knowledge, it might drive them insane, or it might cause them to have their eyeballs busted out of their sockets. So, do you have any advice to those fans who, once they get a look at you, their whole worldviews will be upended? How will they get better control of themselves and their own narratives, for their lives?
Well, I don't believe the narrative is like the arc from Indiana Jones. So when you see me, that you necessarily head explodes and eyes pop out. But what I am and who I am is authentically myself. And sometimes speaking your truth will make people uncomfortable, and that's okay. The freedom to speak, the freedom to act, the freedom to think, the freedom to feel doesn't necessitate people don't feel uncomfortable, but they can discuss it. They can learn from it. We can learn from each other. A lot of times I'll have uncomfortable conversations with people, and hopefully through them, they can see themselves, the betterment of themselves, because facetious conversations and lies, like, what's the point? It is a waste of time. Sometimes you have to face what you fear the most. What you fear the most is a projection of yourself. So, yeah, eyes will bug, heads will explode. They'll be like, dude, this dude is jacked as hell. What is Project Narrative Fitness app? I need to get it. But at the same time, if the words I say, my actions, my thoughts inspire people to think for themselves or think differently, I welcome that. Break the hive mind. Be authentically who you are, whomever that may be. Through that, you'll take back control, you'll have freedom, and find your purpose.
Okay, so ROH Best in the World, July 11th, Baltimore, Maryland, on pay-per-view on Fight TV. Now, Free the Narrative, you are partnering with Fight TV on that, and when will we be able to watch that?
That will be available Saturday, July 3rd. So,
all right.
There's an extended ending, an ending that's going to definitely tell you where we're going and possibly reveal who we're with. I'm very excited for the Fight platform to get behind Free the Narrative, because it's a project very close to my heart and my soul. And we put out there something different, something unique, whether it's loved, hated, as long as it's not ignored. That's all I care about.
Also, EC3, just wanted to give you the time if there are any other merchandise or social plugs, anything else about the narrative you would like to share with our listeners.
Yeah, social media at The Real EC3, IG, my biggest mainstay, Twitter and Facebook. I hate them, but occasionally I jump on there. Through those profiles, you can click on a link with every link I have of the stuff I'm up to, one being Free the Narrative on Fight TV starting July 3rd. The other being www.freethenarrative.com, which tells you exactly what the narrative is all about. It has a nice merchandise store available concerning all of our great talents. So you support the narrative, you're supporting them. Great design shirts from my print shop, www.justifiedprints.com, which also subs as our studio for creating the narrative. And the people that are knocking on the door, that's where they come to be filmed against my infamous gray wall. If you go to www.freeec3.com, you'll have access to my wearable propaganda, which is my merchandise, all designed, printed, shipped by me, because if you're going to control your narrative, you might as well control your merch. So check that out. What else? Yeah, the Project Narrative Fitness app, join.freec3.com. It is a custom nutrition and workout app I've created where I literally make you diets and workouts to you, the individual. So it's a painstaking process, but great benefits, great betterment. Better yourself physically, mentally, and spiritually. You will find yourself if you're looking for guidance and motivation through fitness. Let me make you workouts, let me make you diet, let me yell at you online, because I'll do all three of those things.
EC3, thank you for this time. I feel greatly enlightened now. I feel like I've experienced part of the narrative, and I feel like my thoughts are free now, and I've been taken on a journey, so to speak. The journey
starts with the very first step, and your journey is your own. Oh, also, let me mention EC3 at freeec3.com for email inquiries, and I am limited, but I do some independent things if they don't suck. So check that out. But yeah, I'm glad we're on this journey together. You need a support system, and through the narrative, my crazy bullshit will make you a better person.
Well, thank you, EC3, and best of luck for you on this matchup, and getting to be in front of fans again on pay-per-view, and continuing to take the reins of your career and taking the reins of your story and your narrative. I think this is something everyone can learn from, even outside of wrestling. So thank you for this time, and you've been listening to EC3 on the 411 Wrestling Interviews podcast. Thank you, everybody. All right, and that was EC3. So this Sunday, July 11th, at the Chesapeake Employees Insurance Arena, he will be wrestling Flip Gordon at ROH, Best in the World. Available on pay-per-view. Now also, for the 411 Wrestling Interviews podcast, you can listen to us on our YouTube channel, on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify, Stitcher, and Google Play. If you're listening to us on YouTube, if you can like, subscribe, or comment on the video on the channel, I would very much appreciate it. If you're listening to us on Apple Podcasts, if you can give us a 5-star rating or review, I would very much appreciate that as well. But more than anything, thank you for finding the show. Thank you for listening to us and bringing us into your homes. And everyone stay safe and please be well. Thank you very much. You've been listening to Jeffrey Harris, the J to the E to the double F-free, and this is the 411 Wrestling Interviews podcast. Bye, everybody.